We are in the holiday season of the NBA. And holiday season, I guess, in the entire world right now. So happy post-Thanksgiving. A little mini break for us in a way. Not planned, but, life gets in the way, and here we are. But excited to talk some NBA again. We have, from the Emirates NBA Cup side of things, we have the last final round of group play action happening. So there's a lot of things that need to happen to essentially clinch those things and those spots up. So we will kind of talk those through here in just a little bit. Also, Kevin pointed out that we are a quarter of the way through the NBA season, which is wild to think about.
Wild.
So we'll kind of see where we think we are, maybe pick out some frauds, pick out some people we believe in that maybe are exceeding expectation, but we think they will continue that throughout the season. So with that to say, we zone back in on the Emirates NBA Cup. As we point out, depending on when you're listening to this, they could already be over, but Tuesday's night of NBA Cup action will be the final night of group play. And we were kind of looking at it in the terms of what can happen or what needs to happen where. So for those who don't know, Atlanta has clinched East Group C, Houston has clinched West Group A, and Golden State has clinched West Group C. The rest is still kind of up in the air, though in the East it seems a bit easier to handle. So in East Group A, New York clinches with a win. Orlando clinches with a win. Orlando clinches the wild spot. Orlando would win the tiebreaker over Boston, and the loser of the Milwaukee-Detroit game. They can't lose, though, by more than 37 points or in overtime. So it's we're probably okay there, I would like to say.
Yeah, I mean, that's really the game to watch, honestly, that Knicks and Magic game. And it does, though. The Magic have such a wild point differential. I mean, the Magic's point differential right now is plus 60. For some perspective, Milwaukee and Detroit, who are battling it out for Group B, are at plus 29 and plus 28, respectively.
Yeah.
Atlanta, who clinched Group C, is at plus 15. The Celtics, who are fighting, are at plus 23. So, yeah, I mean, depending something absolutely tragic, Orlando is probably going to be safe no matter what. Which is that is one of the things to watch, or it takes one of the bigger, with only one wild card spot, that is one of the more intriguing things, and it feels like it's out of the picture there already compared to the Western Conference, where there's a few teams that can really still get after it. But I mean, maybe in that regard, the game to watch probably is Milwaukee and Detroit. Like, that's directly the winner of Group B because of the point differential. The loser is probably out there. For Detroit, this is more than likely this season. Like, it's not really going to get brighter than this if they can get into group play and make a run.
And to point out, so Detroit wins the tiebreaker over Boston and the loser of the Orlando Knicks game. But for Detroit to have a chance to win that tiebreaker at 3-1, Detroit can't lose by more than 5 points or in overtime. So that one is a lot closer than the Orlando one, like we were just joking about.
Yeah, I mean, they would really be battling it out with Boston if that point differential wasn't a thing. It's just because, again, the Magic have such a point differential. I mean, Boston is out for all intents and purposes. Like, their schedule is over. That loss to Atlanta ended up dooming them in this tournament. I mean, they beat Cleveland, who's obviously been great to start the season. They beat the Wiz, they beat the Bulls, but the Hawks having that head-to-head win, puts them through in Group C. I mean, I guess in the East, the only thing we're watching is Milwaukee and Detroit. Like, we'll watch Orlando and New York, but, 3 of these spots seem accounted for. Obviously, in the West, it's a whole lot more wide open. I guess I should have started this saying by 2. The one thing we do know about the NBA Cup is it's going to have a different champion. The Lakers are out. They are eliminated. So we will not see any repeats early on. The clinches are Houston in Group A so far and Golden State in Group C so far. I mean, teams that are still alive, the Mavericks are 2-1. They've got a great point differential at 0.41. So if they handle their business against Memphis, you got to feel like you're in a pretty good position.
Well,
wild card wise.
It's funny. So the NBA communications on Twitter, if you want to look it up, they put out like this like list of how things have to happen. And when you look at West Group C, there's like it's an entire dissertation. Everything else is pretty easy to understand.
Yeah.
West Group C is there's a lot. Like Dallas clinches the wild spot if Dallas wins plus an OKC loss plus a Portland loss. Or if Dallas wins plus Dallas wins a tiebreaker over Portland, and second place team in West Group B. So then it's like, and then after that they've got like three more other ways that they could get in there. Like it's very. This part of the NBA Cup is the part that I think is kind of cool. Like everyone makes jokes on social media about the colors of the courts and all that stuff. Wake up, babe! It's NBA Cup, or why are the colors like this and all that.
The Seinfeld meme. It's when it's like Kramer, what are you doing in there? And it's the NBA Cup, baby.
Yeah, it's the NBA Cup, Jerry. What do you mean? But like at this point of the season, this might be the really saving grace of the NBA right now of some excitement to talk about. Now, cool, we can talk about standings and we will. But like this is a whole new angle of us talking about, well, OKC can clinch the wild card spot if they win and Portland loses and Dallas loses on Tuesday night. Like we have all these things we're rooting for now, I guess is what I'm alluding to.
Yeah, I wish my biggest beef with the NBA Cup right now is I wish it started a few weeks later. Like I think group play starts so early, and I just like I don't think in the first 6 games necessarily, how these are going to shake out. Lineups are different. Guys are getting adjusted. Like, I just think the group play would maybe be a little bit better of a product. If it were a few weeks back, I like the timing overall. Like, I'm not saying push it late into the season. Like, I do think it's good that this is more of like a mid-season thing as it was always designed to be.
Yeah.
But, and I think that will just have more eyes on it right now. I mean, this part of the NBA season, unfortunately, is just always competing with the NFL. And as we know in America, NFL is king. So that makes it difficult to begin with. But, I still think you can get some eyes to it. Going back to the actual group play, yeah, I mean, Group B in the West is definitely the one to watch as well. I mean, the biggest game is San Antonio and Phoenix. I mean, San Antonio, is in the first spot right now. Phoenix is in that third spot. Phoenix could jump all the way to the top with a win. And then if they have the point differential over OKC, depending on how that shakes out, OKC's got Utah, so probably a little easier there. But they're in second right now via their head-to-head loss with San Antonio. The point is all of their point differentials are really close. So like there is a scenario where OKC wins their game and the winner of San Antonio and Phoenix does have to scoreboard watch a little bit and make sure that point differential is good. Because, yeah, I mean, Phoenix especially would want OKC to lose because they lost to OKC. San Antonio is a little less worried about that because they beat OKC in game 2. But, yeah, I mean, it does seem like one of these two teams Dallas, if they win, is probably going to get that wild card spot just by virtue of, like, they're at plus 41 right now. Like, none of those Group B teams we mentioned are even at plus 20. It would really have to go south. Or just Dallas loses for Dallas not getting a wild card spot.
Literally, in order for Dallas to have a chance to win the tiebreaker over Denver, Memphis, Dallas must lose by fewer than 24 points or in overtime.
Right.
So you got a good runway there.
Yeah, I mean, so realistically, the way this is probably going to shake is Golden State and Dallas and Houston for sure coming out of the West, with then one of San Antonio, Oklahoma City, or Phoenix. And then in the East, it'll be Atlanta, Milwaukee or Detroit, and then Orlando and the Knicks. So
and really, if you're Houston and the Warriors, like you're probably preferring San Antonio in that case.
Yeah, I'm always going to lean towards taking San Antonio here. Like I know they have Wemby and they're starting to build that chemistry, but I mean San Antonio is still just like OKC is favored to win the conference. Like if I can get them out of the picture, Phoenix is still down Kevin Durant right now, but again, it just feels like I want to get them out of the picture. Which, I mean, there are going to be a lot of great, Boston, like we said, out of the picture. Cleveland's been one of the early NBA stories. They're going to be out of the picture. The beauty of this tournament is that it does, shine some spotlights on teams that, may not have it. And in some cases too, it gives some extra credit. Like we'll talk again, as we talk our quarter length preview, but like for a team like Orlando, Paulo starts the season with this oblique injury as they're just cooking. out for 6 weeks, and this team hasn't really missed a beat. Like, that bodes
Franz is just
really
cooking.
well for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
The Knicks, as they build their chemistry, but things like, for Atlanta, that's huge if they can make a run here. It's the most exciting thing they'll probably have had since that conference finals run. For Milwaukee, who just has had a lot of bad vibes around them recently, this would be big. Or Detroit, if they get in. And, like we said, that's kind of the fun of the NBA Cup, right? Is that some of these other teams that may not be playing for a title this season, you still can play for something meaningful.
They get spotlighted a little bit. You get to see them a little more of upgraded action. And I hate that I know this. The Hawk Tua girl.
Yeah, of course.
So she's got a podcast that's apparently one of the best, most listened to podcasts now.
Best, I don't know about best, but it's all over Twitter.
In terms of people listening to it. Well, I don't know if you saw, but she put out that she wanted Trae Young to be the first NBA player on the podcast.
Oh,
and the Hawks responded no.
Yeah, I mean, hey, listen. I mean,
no.
Talk to is a great name, but again, it's like, and good for her for milking her 15 minutes. Like,
make every second last, 100%.
Like, get it while you're here. Mm-hmm. Why does the Talk to a Girl have a podcast?
Yeah.
Like, not everybody needs a podcast, and that's kind of like a greater thing about the industry. Is it became like podcasting being this thing where everybody feels like they need one, and you just don't if you're not going to put the work into it. Like, you got to have like consistency and dropping content is important. Like, I feel like people think that podcasts are like a quick paycheck, and it's just not a quick paycheck at all.
Although you did say be consistent after I totally butchered our chance to be consistent. We missed a week. So.
I mean, it's the first 2-week episode in age. I mean, it's the first 2-week gap in ages. I mean, look, like I peel back the layers right now. Like, Justin has a child and has got promoted in the last year. So he has a lot going on. I'm at the end of my semester in law school in 3L. Like, I'm working 20 hours a week on top of going to law school. Like, I'm quite busy right now as well, on top of the holiday. Like, this is not a subliminal for me saying that the podcast is ending. I don't want our listeners to get scared or anything like that. Like, we're still recording. It's just like, yeah, we'll be a little transparent with it. Like, these episodes may just have staggered release dates a little bit. Like, I don't think they're going to have, and we'll have guests. Like, that's the beauty of it too. I just always, we would rather do this together. Like, this is still our show. I love every one of our guests that come on, and I'm grateful.
Except for one. I hate one of them.
Wait, really?
Maybe.
No, wait, I was going to say, wait a minute, which guest?
I was just going to leave it out there that I don't like one of them and let everyone figure out who it is.
Fine. No, you should. It's interesting to see in the comments who likes who, because there are definitely some visceral reactions for some more than others. I do appreciate that. Not to totally hijack right now, but speaking of our guests, and I haven't actually mentioned this on the show, one of our guests is Nick Renowitz, who the voice of the Orlando Magic. Nick is currently in the Cleveland Clinic waiting an open heart transplant. And by an open heart transplant, I mean, like he's getting the full thing, a full heart transplant. I'm going to post a GoFundMe in the link to this episode, but as you could imagine, his medical bills are quite ridiculous. He's been in the hospital now for 2 months. And again, it's just waiting game at this point. And the beauty of it is he's in the best care possible. I'm only speaking about this because all this is out there publicly. But yeah, Nick is, needless to say, going through quite a struggle and will be for recovery for a little bit as well. After all is said and done. So yeah, if you have it in you, I'm going to post the GoFundMe in the episode description. But yeah, we're definitely always thinking of our guy, Nicky Football, praying for the best there. Cause that is just, yeah, I mean, look, it's been going on for a while, and I'm glad there's going to be resolution, but that is, it's an insane situation. I mean, and it's funny. I need to talk to, I've been meaning to talk to our guy, Brian Middleton, who I forget had the same exact thing happen like 5 or 6 years ago. And who, again, thankfully back on his feet, like still working with you guys at the station. But yeah, just, around Thanksgiving, just a little bit of perspective for those who it could be a whole lot worse.
Oh yeah, we had a situation in my side of the family that was very similar last week. So not always the most fun, and definitely a gut check moment. But you definitely appreciate it when the outcome's a lot better than it could have been.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Got to appreciate every moment, but
Mm-hmm.
that's what we're going to try to do here on the Driving Dish NBA podcast. Welcome everybody. My name is Kevin Rafuse. Joining me as always, my co-host Justin Cousart.
Culture over mainstream.
Oh man, it's probably about. Is this about Kendrick?
Oh, maybe it is a Kendrick line. I don't know.
No, I don't think it's a Kendrick line. I just didn't know it was about Kendrick with the album coming out.
It could be. Maybe it came out. This tweet was from 6 days ago, so there is a good chance that it's from the album and or in reference to the Forbes top rappers list of all time. I don't know if you've seen that.
Wait, Forbes made a top. Why is Forbes making a top rappers list?
Well, that was what a lot of people said.
What's their top? What's their? Oh God, I don't want to do this. What's their top 5?
Here we go. Top rappers of all time. If I can hold on, I gotta find it again. I know Jay-Z is number 1.
Okay, okay. Maybe this is all right. I'm not mad at that. Good
I
start.
promise you, you're not gonna like it.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Okay.
Good
So
start,
Jay-Z's number 1, Kendrick's number 2, Lil Wayne's number 3, J. Cole 4, Tupac 5, Drake 6, Kanye 7, Nicki Minaj 8, Nas 9, and Eminem rounds out your top 10.
It's the order is gross. Like, I don't hate it. Like, you could name me a worse list. The order's all over the place. Like, I love Kendrick Lamar. Kendrick Lamar should not be 2 over Lil Wayne. And like, Lil Wayne has done this for 35 years at this point.
Andre 3000 is 11 and Biggie's 12 for those wondering.
I'm still in that camp where they both should be higher. And that's kind of my, like, Nas should be higher to me. Like, Nas is 2 behind Jay to me. And maybe that's a little too East Coasty of me, but like, I have Jay and Nas at 1 and 2. Kanye is tough because Kanye doesn't write his lyrics, but Kanye also has maybe the greatest discography in hip hop. And so I think that's where it's tough. Like, I'm going to go against My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy and College Dropout and Late Registration and Graduation and 808s and Watch the Throne. And it's like, that's just absurd. That's not even getting into the later stuff, which some of the later stuff we may not want to get into, but
yeah. ASAP Rocky 15, Tyler the Creator
Rocky
17
is insane, and I love ASAP Rocky. That's
putting
insane.
putting that all out there just to say Snoop Dogg's at 18. How are you going to put someone that is in Fortnite at 18?
Well, I don't know if that's my reason, but Snoop is weird though musically, man. Snoop has such because he is obviously, when you talk about icons, I'd argue he's top 5. Like, I don't know if you have a bigger, more everyone and their mom knows who Snoop Dogg is.
You would appreciate this. Nicole and I are going to a White Elephant next weekend. Oh, actually, I'm probably not because I have to work a concert. But my wife's going to a White Elephant next weekend. And our White Elephant gift that we got this year is Snoop on a Stoop. It's like Elf on a Shelf. It's Snoop. And then we got Martha on a Mantle. We got both of them. So
oh, you got the crew together? Okay, nice.
But
that's what I mean. Like, Snoop Dogg is one of the most popular rappers of all time. Musically, he has a weird career though, right? Because it's like, first album is Doggy Style. That's one of the greatest hip hop albums ever, in my opinion. Like, that's as good as it gets from top to bottom. Kind of all over the place after that. Like, he was with No Limit for a little bit. It's with Death Row till the end. I mean, he's got some albums like the album with Beautiful on it is amazing. The RNG album with Pharrell is amazing, but like, his discography is kind of weird, right? Because it's like he has songs, and he has all these like features as well, but like, he doesn't really have that one album after Doggy
Style. 50 Cent number 24, Ice Cube number 25.
Cube should be higher.
Juice WRLD 27.
Oh my, okay, all right.
Dr. Dre 29.
Dr. Dre is weird because he doesn't write his own lyrics. So that's another one where it's tough. It's like Dre has 2 of the best albums ever, but I don't. How do you?
Busta Rhymes number 32.
Busta Rhymes being below Juice WRLD is the most insulting thing I've ever heard. Like, Busta Rhymes should want to fight the editor over that.
Childish Gambino 34. See if anybody else kind of sticks out as we go here. E40 38, Method Man, Bad Bunny number 40.
Is Bad Bunny a rapper?
I don't know. Lupe at 41.
Like, Bad Bunny is I like his music, but is he a rapper?
I don't know. Takeoff's at 44.
Rest in peace, Takeoff. I don't. That's kind of insane, I think. But rest in peace, Takeoff.
Chief Keef 47, Cardi B 48, Young Thug 49. Who's 50?
How is Young Thug below Chief? I'm sorry. Like, why is Young Thug below Chief Keef? That's insane.
There you go. There's your list. Yeah. So random little off topic.
It's Kendrick shouldn't be 2, and Cole shouldn't be 4, and I love both of them. Like, that's wild. Drake should still be ahead of Cole. Even if Drake lost that beef, he should still be ahead of Cole. Drake has way bigger records than Cole does. I would argue his discography is better. And I love J. Cole. I don't know. Maybe the apology's not suiting me that well. I don't know. Why do you do that? That still makes me upset a little bit without going too much down the hole.
That was Jaylen Brown, by the way.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you for bringing that back. I do wonder who that would be. Yeah, Cole could have done anything, but you can't be on every feature for 3 years telling me you're the best rapper alive and then apologize when it comes time to prove it. Like, come on, man. You got to give me some. Don't respond, man. That's my point, is that don't respond. I'd rather you not say anything than apologize.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
It's not worth your time.
No, yeah, I can't listen to those best rapper alive bars the same anymore. And I love J. Cole. J. Cole has made Friday Night Lights is just his streaming. That you have no idea how much I love that project and how much that meant for me in college and still does. Like, I digress. Leave us a review on iTunes, good or bad. I'll read them on the podcast. If you're not an Apple user, Google Play Store, Spreaker, Spotify, TuneIn, Amazon Music, Player FM, anywhere you can find a podcast, you can find us.
And we are on YouTube. Just find us Driving Dish NBA Podcast on YouTube. You can search there. And when you subscribe, you'll get notifications when new episodes are coming out.
Now, a word for our sponsors.
So we are a quarter away through the season, and the Cleveland Cavaliers are still the best team in the NBA, which I don't know if any of us thought was still going to be the case. We are also a quarter of the way through the season, and a said team only has 4 wins, but we aren't going down that hole again because it's just going to upset us.
I'm just not talking. They're losers. I'm not talking about the Sixers because the Sixers are losers. Except shout out to Jared McCain. My guy, Jared McCain. You're good money in my book. And so is Tyrese still. But like, I don't want to talk about the Sixers are irrelevant. They're not going to win anything this year. The greater discussion is Embiid is cooked, period. That may be an unfortunate reality. And if that's the truth, then we're just clowns because then we're now stuck with Paul George till he's 38 with a team that was built to win that is not going to win anything without Joel Embiid.
Not even potentially make it to the playoffs at the rate we're going. So
I went to Sixers Clippers, not this past Sunday, but the Sunday before, literally on the baseline, behind the one basket, the best seats of my life. Shout out to my guy, Taylor. You're a real one. I just they got crushed. It wasn't even close. Like Kelly Oubre scored the first basket. And it's so alarming because it's not just like you lost, you got blown out. And the Clippers are shout out to our guy, Ty Lue. Ty Lue is such an incredible coach, and I don't think ever gets enough flowers because he has those guys competing. And we know without Kawhi, they're just not really at all what they're supposed to be. But that's kind of my point, right? It's like, you're getting run out of the gym by the Clippers. The Clippers are like an average Western Conference team. This isn't Oklahoma City. This isn't Boston. Like, what are we doing?
I saw that you were at that game, and I happened to have YouTube TV up and saw that it was an option of one of the games we could put on. And I put it on, and my wife's like, "Oh, we're going to watch basketball tonight." And it was on for 2 minutes. And I said, "Nope, you can put on whatever you want because I'm just going to get genuinely pissed off, and I don't need to see this." I have
truly, of all the NBA I've consumed this year, I have barely consumed the Sixers. I'm done. I'm out. I'm just, I would rather watch other teams. They're not enjoyable to me. It was enjoyable watching Cleveland Boston the other night. And that was kind of my takeaway where it's like, hey, you know what? That's the Cleveland is for real moment, right? Because we saw them lose to Boston in the NBA Cup earlier this year. And they've been the the Eastern Conference, the theme is that it's been pretty horrible across the board so far to start. Like you're starting to get a few teams get it going, but I mean, you got the Cavs at 18-3, you got the Celtics at 16-4, and it's been kind of a train wreck after that. Everybody's really around 500. That's an impressive win for Cleveland, and give credit to Kenny Atkinson. We gave him his flowers a few episodes ago, but really coming in and making a difference on the coaching front. I mean, there's been a lot of reasons. Like Donovan Mitchell continues to excel at the end of games. The biggest bet so far is that they bet on this core staying together. And, Darius Garland in particular has really, really taken his game up a notch this season. And I think that's the big, turn of events, right? It's like you're just getting increased production out of Garland. Evan Mobley's still playing solid. Jared Allen's playing solid. That's a duo who I've always said I think works better than perhaps the eye test indicates. Look, they're playing hard. They've got an identity. The offense looks a lot better. And to be able to gut a win out like that against the defending champs in Boston, like that's kind of a we're here statement, which feels weird in game 21. But you got to, at some point, a quarter of the way into the season, you just got to stop. There starts to be a little less fluky about it. Like it's, and they've gotten solid contributions. Like give Karis LeVert a lot of credit off the bench. Like he's a guy who was pretty much written off in Cleveland. Like we loved that acquisition for them when they originally got him, but he just hasn't had a lot of success there. Granted, his best season in the past was in Brooklyn with Kenny Atkinson. So maybe Kenny just knows how to unlock him, but like give him a lot of credit. Give a guy like Ty Jerome a lot of credit, who's given them quality minutes off the bench. They're just playing. And again, they're going to get a little better as well. Like a guy like Max Strus hasn't played this season. We've seen him play a lot of big minutes with Miami in the past. So they're getting what they need out of their top four, though. That's the big takeaway here, especially Garland.
Yeah, and leading the league in points per game, field goal percentage, I believe 3-point percentage as well. So they are firing on all cylinders. Even a quarter of the way in, shooting over 40% from three as a team, like they're locked in, and definitely a surprise to probably most NBA fans that this is where they are. I mean, now that we've seen it for a little bit throughout the season, not so much a surprise, but you definitely they were not in my top three when we talked about, the top three in the league, of teams in terms of the tiers that we normally talk about. And it's interesting because, like you said, Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland kind of splitting, and Evan Mobley splitting a lot of the scoring load. And you go back to, the players this year, points per game. And really, I mean, Donovan's their highest one, and he's 20th in the league for scoring. So it's not like it's all on one player, I guess, is my point.
No, and that's kind of been their issue in the past, right?
Yeah.
Is like come playoff times, it's been, and anything they've won, it feels like it's just been off the strength of Donovan Mitchell is good at basketball. You're right. It's a lot more balanced this year. Like Donovan is still unquestionably their guy at the end of games, but that's fine. Like it's about everything you get in between. And you're right. It's a lot more balanced than it's been in the past. Like the big test for this team is going to be the playoffs, because we've seen this group make the playoffs before. And it just, they just haven't really particularly looked impressive. Even in their series win against Orlando last year, they got taken to 7, and that was by a team, you just felt was a little better than Orlando, haven't been there before. That'll be the test. But, like I said, a big passing grade early on, getting by Boston the other night, I think that's an impressive win, especially, knowing what Boston is and, with a real chance to win the title again this year.
Can you guess the three players right now that have all played over 17 games or at 17 games that are averaging over 30 points per game this season?
Oh, in the NBA?
Mm-hmm.
How many was it again?
It's only three players. Jokic would be the first out at 29.6, to put it in perspective.
Oh, sorry. I thought I had someone else with Jokic there for a sec.
Nope, that's it. He's at 29.6.
So
you got three guys, two of which are on the East Coast.
Two are in the East, one's in the West.
One's in the West, yeah.
All right, one of the East. Luka's been hurt. I feel like it would have been Luka, but Luka's been hurt.
Yeah, Luka's number 8 on this list and has only played 15 games.
Giannis has got to be one, right?
Giannis is number 1 at 32.9.
Okay.
Which
the
is
other
impressive.
Western guy it's not Donovan. I don't think it's not JT or JB either, I think.
No, the West is, when you think about, when you hear who it is in the West, you'll be like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Is it SGA?
Yeah. SGA.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
At 30 flat. Now, number 2, who is on a team that's 6-12, And honestly, I mean, obviously, if you watch the games, you'll know he's doing well. But still, a genuine surprise to me that he is in the top 3 in the league right now for points per game.
6 and 12. Oh god. I mean, is it LaMelo?
It is LaMelo.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean LaMelo, yeah.
31.
He's out a little bit, but
Yeah.
LaMelo's had so many. LaMelo's the ultimate, "Oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god"
Yeah,
player
you're
where
like,
it's just
"Whoa,
like
whoa,
it's
whoa."
chaos.
Yeah.
Charlotte has got a little something brewing down there as long as he can stay healthy. I like what Brandon Miller's done for them this season. Like, they're just competitive finally. It looks like they have the foundation of something. That's not something we've said for Charlotte here in the past few years. Um, the one team in the East that's I want to show love to is, of course, Orlando. We mentioned a little bit in the beginning of the show, but the fact that they've stayed afloat like this without Paulo out, like that's best case scenario. They've won 6 in a row going into this podcast. Pretty commanding third in the East right now. They've got 2 games up on the Knicks, even 3 up on the Bucks and the Heat. Like, Paulo, we know is the focal point of that team. He's by far their best player. He's the superstar, which is really, that they build all of this on top of. But, when he went down, you were looking, can Franz Wagner step up? Can Jalen Suggs continue to step up? Who's it going to be? And they've had it. Like, they've had the consistent contributions. Like, the fact that they've stayed afloat, you got to feel good about these guys getting these minutes now too early. When Paulo comes back, Orlando's a force. Like, they're going to contend in the Eastern Conference this year. They're definitely they're a step up Boston is still number 1. Cleveland, I think you got to make 1A just off how this has started, but Orlando's right there too. And I can get past Boston and Cleveland, and it may not surprise me, especially with how well they play defensively.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm curious as to what's going on with Cole Anthony. I feel like his minutes have dipped a lot.
Yeah, it's just he's a huge defensive liability, and it was always going to be like, can he be the spark off the bench? Like
Yeah.
that type of deal. Like because he has to give you, he's a gunner a little bit. Like he has to give you those scoring minutes, and he just kind of hasn't. Like it's been really inefficient, and that started last year. And I do. I mean, that's a big change. He's like, I think he's like 12th on this team in minutes right now. Like,
Yeah,
you got
he had in 2023, 2024, he played all 81 games. He never started, but he played all 81 games. He had 22 minutes a game. He was shooting 43% field goal and 33% from 3. Now he is averaging just less than 10 minutes a game. He is shooting 37% field goal and 30% from 3.
Yeah, and I mean, they've just really given the minutes elsewhere, and like part of it is the younger guys developing it. Like, I mean, KCP coming in too obviously makes a difference there as well. Even if Cole's playing more point than shooting guard, but yeah, I mean, look, it's given Anthony Black minutes as he continues to develop.
Yeah.
It's given even Jet Howard minutes as he continues to develop. But it is a little telling when a guy like Gary Harris has jumped you. Like Gary Harris is a solid vet; he's been there for a few years now, but Cole would be the guy, the younger guy that you kind of would be hoping would give you these minutes right now.
Yeah.
And he just hasn't, unfortunately. And so, yeah, I think, unfortunately, because Cole Anthony is like the original young guy they had there. Like he's kind of the first guy who really was like, no, I'm in Orlando. We're the Magic. We're here. Like kind of form that identity, like almost that pride, if you will, because it's a franchise that just, hasn't, over the past decade, hasn't been that great. Where now you've really got something here with this team. I don't know if Cole Anthony is a long-term portion of it, and that's unfortunate.
Yeah, it's a bummer. It's just an observation I had. Just look at the minutes. You're like, wait, Cole Anthony only 9? Is he hurt? Like, what's going on?
No, it's just that's the way it's trending a little bit. I mean, Eastern Conference. Otherwise, like we said, the big story has just been a lot of average. Like the Knicks are starting to get it together. OG Anunoby's been phenomenal this year. I mean, really offensively has taken some steps. It feels like, the Bucks have kind of turned around. They've won 6 in a row, 10-9, 8-2 in their last 10. Obviously, a pretty rough start to the season. Still kind of they have a little bit more to go in terms of like proving it for me, if you will. But starting to go in the right direction. Like you said, Giannis has been phenomenal individually. But then you've kind of got, Miami, Atlanta, all towing around that 500 area. I mean, Indy is the disappointment here so far, if you will. And they've had to deal with a little bit injury wise, but Halliburton's been the big story. Like Hallie's numbers are just down big time this year, and they've been down since he got hurt last year.
Yep.
And
It like
so,
slowed him up,
yeah, and you're really hoping that that's just that lingering a little bit, because otherwise it's a big dip from last year early on. I mean, he's down 3 points a game. His assists are down almost 3. And you're right. It just feels like that speed is gone. It's not, they're not outrunning anybody. I mean, his advanced numbers, his defensive box plus minus has cratered. Like he's fully in the negative right now at this point. His offensive is half of what it was last year. His VORP is 0.6 compared to 5 last year. His offensive win shares are down from 7 point or from down from 7.6 to 1.4. Like, it's a notable decline. And it's really interesting because I think a guy like Benedict Mathurin coming off injury, he looks phenomenal. Like, I think you look at the way he's developed this season, you kind of feel good about this Indy core and or around the, he's a younger guy. You still got Miles Turner. They're, with Siakam back, the identity of this group is still here, but it is like Tyrese is the engine that makes it run. And if he's taking a step back, like that is where you'd worry about them long term. You hope it's just him, continuing to ramp up to speed. But again, a quarter into the season, you start to be is this lingering, or is this a blip, or is this the start of something more serious?
Yeah, it's interesting that Pascal Siakam, out of their top 3, maybe even 4 scorers or guys that are running out there between Hallie, Siakam, Mathurin, and Turner, he's the only one that's in the positive for plus minus. And even that's only a 0.3, but I know that has to do a lot with how the team's doing overall. But yeah, it's definitely a noticeable problem that it's not great.
I mean, no one is going to top the disappointment of the Sixers right now in the East. Like the Sixers are by far the biggest disappointment. I think Indy's like real close, or not real close. Maybe actually the Sixers are that much of a train wreck.
Yeah.
But I think if you're going to go, oh, who's disappointing? I think Indy fans would probably say that. The rest of the East is kind of what you'd expect. Like, Brooklyn, Detroit, Chicago, Charlotte, Toronto. Like you all knew these teams weren't going to be that great going into the season. There's not really any surprisings there. Like they range from just middle of the pack to just kind of bad. So out West is a little bit of a different story, obviously, a little more competitive out there to say the least.
10th in the West would be tied for 7th in the East right now.
Yeah. And that's what the East finally started to get going.
Yeah.
OKC 1, as we kind of all predicted, 15-5 right now. Houston 2, Memphis 3, Golden State 4, Dallas 5, the Lakers 6. Play in right now would be the Clippers, the Suns, Denver, and San Antonio. The first out, and probably the biggest disappointment here, I would argue even more than the Pelicans, because the Pelicans is kind of out of their control, is Minnesota. Minnesota sitting at 9-10, out of play-in position right now. Anthony Edwards called him soft the other night and says, we got to figure this out. Obviously, this is a team that's in the Western Conference Finals last year. Pretty big change not bringing Karl Anthony Towns back. But
yeah, I wonder if they're feeling that, the Karl Anthony Towns effect a little bit there.
Yeah, I mean, you bring in Randall, you bring in DiVincenzo, you kind of feel like that would be, I didn't feel like there'd be that big of a drop off. But it is. It just hasn't really gotten going for this team this year. Ant's playing pretty well, 27 points a game. I don't really think you can look at him, but it's the supporting cast a little bit. Randall's been taking a lot of the scoring load on, but
and I'd argue a little bit. I understand your Pelicans comment of them being a huge disappointment, being last in the league, but I'd also argue the Kings being 9-12 is a huge disappointment.
Absolutely, that was right there with you at 9-12. I think they are more disappointing than the Pelicans are as well, just because again, there's a little bit of expectations. Like you go out and you get a guy like DeMar DeRozan, to really focus in on that offense. This team in Sacramento got their play-in win last year. I think that was kind of the first step, and they've shrunk back a little bit here in the Eastern Conference, and you do wonder if maybe they need to take a step on defensively a little bit. Like they kind of doubled down on what they were good at, and that's just running and scoring. Offense has been dynamic at times, but you're right. It's been pretty inconsistent for Sacramento so far.
Yeah, no, I agree. I would definitely put them towards the top of my list of disappointing. And again, you mentioned Pelicans, but to me, with the injuries, it kind of is a write off in a way. And I mean, it's just really unfortunate for them to be dealing with that. But Kings and Timberwolves, yeah, you start looking at them a little bit like, wait, hey, what's going on here?
Well, they've just been top heavy with the Kings in particular. It's like you've got Fox, you've got DeRozan, you've got Sabonis. They've all been playing great. Malik Monk's been playing all right. I mean, 15 points a game. You probably need a little more out of him, but like Keegan Murray, Kevin Herter, those are the guys you need maybe a little bit more out of if you're going to take the next step. But you're right. I think the Pelicans are bringing out guys we haven't even heard of a little bit. I can't believe you haven't brought it up already. Your boy Elfrid Payton had 21 assists in an NBA game the other night. But that's also a point of what I'm talking about. Like the Pelicans are the point where they're bringing just old NBA guys back because they need guys to suit up. Like,
whoa!
No, 21 assists is crazy.
21 old NBA guys
he hasn't played in 3 years prior to that game.
That's messed up. No, the reason I hadn't mentioned him is that he's going to be my Ballin and Fallin. So we're going to give him his own segment for his own prize.
Probably should have seen that coming.
Yeah.
No, I mean, that's the disappointment front. I mean, the question for me in the West is like, who's going to start to, really, really tear themselves out here? OKC we knew was the obvious contender, but it was where would the rest sort out at? I think you got to feel great if you're Memphis. I think you got to feel great if you're Houston.
You got to feel ecstatic if you're Houston. Yeah, you're 0.5 back from number one.
Yeah, and I mean, Houston. Shout out to Ime Udoka on the coaching front because they've had such a balance because Houston is this weird dilemma where they almost have too many talented players. Like they don't have that one guy, but they have a lot of guys who are pretty good and starting to develop, the young guys who they've had for a bit, for example, like Şengün and Jalen Green, maybe a little bit less of a surprise there, but like you've got a few quality young guys still in Jabari Smith, who they took number 3. You've got Amen Thompson, who's still there. But then you've got quality vets like Fred VanVleet. You've got Dylan Brooks. A guy like Cam Whitmore's a prospect who I still believe in a little bit, even if he's been a little limited game-wise this year. You've got Reed Shepherd, who I thought was a really good pick at 3 this year. Like, he's kind of off to a slow start, but still, like, yeah, there's a lot of depth on this team. And guys, there is a mix of guys. I mean, namely Fred VanVleet, but even Dylan Brooks playing playoff games in the past with Memphis. Like, there's some experience here as well. So, yeah, Houston's in one of those like best case scenario type categories for me. Like, you got to feel great.
And Memphis, they had a good win over OKC, like you were alluding to with VanVleet. I mean, he had 38 points, though. I did not want to go too far past his situation with the ref, where like he was pissed and definitely looked like he was trying to make contact with the ref and is what it is. But yeah, big win for them against the Thunder, which obviously is going to be an important win down the line.
Yeah, and I mean, again, that's one of those we talked about it with Cleveland. Like, that's one of those, hey, we're here. Like, that's a good early litmus test for the squad. And I think they passed it. Memphis as well. It's really, they were 8-7 at one point, have won 6 in a row since then. They're probably got slept on just because of the whole Ja Morant situation. Then on top of it, all the injuries last year. But give them credit. Zach Edey's been the perfect fit for them, playing alongside Jaren Jackson Jr. I think that's been the biggest standout to me is I think, JJJ is just balling right now. Like, he's really defensively, offensively, like he looks like an all-star. It's kind of been a bit of a coming out party for him early on. And I think that's been a big reason why that they've been able to, I think they can contend here.
Oh yeah, I could contend. I think we just kind of forgot what the Grizzlies were a little bit. You know what I mean? Like this is what they should have been, but obviously Morant being out kind of let us forget that almost for an entire season. So
yeah, the only other disappointment, I guess, because I feel like everybody else in this category you feel pretty good about: Golden State, Dallas, Lakers. Phoenix is tough because they've had injuries now with KD out, but KD was playing so well before he got hurt.
I think you throw the Nuggets in disappointment. I mean, they're 9.
What I'm getting to. Yeah. I think the Nuggets have been, and the Nuggets just have flaws going forward. Like, the Nuggets with Jokic on the floor, phenomenal. Like, Jokic is Jokic. He's still maybe the best player in the league right now. Like, but it's kind of getting a taste of that Embiid medicine where it's like the second he steps off the floor, the Nuggets just get obliterated. Like, they're horrible without Jokic on the floor, like historically bad. that feels like a problem. There's no relief coming for this Denver team. Like, they kind of are who they are. They're going to need somebody to develop a little bit there, and it just hasn't at this point.
Yeah, you gotta find something to at least give Jokic a few minutes of rest, but we'll see if they get it.
Does not seem to be happening.
No.
All right, who's balling, who's falling? Our NBA version of the stock market. We always like start with the good before we start with the bad. So Justin, I'll start with you this week. Who's balling?
Ballin for me is Josh Hart, who is opening up about his reasons for wanting to win the NBA Cup. This comes after Jalen Brunson talked about why he wanted to win the NBA Cup, and this is important because you need to know both reasons. Jalen Brunson said he wanted to win the NBA Cup in part to help his teammates who are on minimum salaries and two-way deals get $500K in a payday, which is very nice. So they asked Josh Hart, and he said, "No, I want to win because I want a damn watch."
I mean, hey, listen, whatever the motivation is, you get your boy some money, you get your watch. Like, hey.
He don't care about getting his boys money. He just wants that watch,
Hey, listen, Tibbs is whatever the reason may be. It's going to come to the same result no matter what. So, I mean, hey, we talked about it earlier in the NBA Cup. Like, the Knicks, regardless of how this Orlando game shakes out, look like they have their ticket punched to the NBA Cup. So, Josh, you're 3 wins away from being able to get that watch. So we'll see what happens.
So what's your balling?
Balling for me this week is Brandon Ingram. Signing with Clutch Sports Group. BI is going to probably be one of the bigger free agents this summer. The Pelicans have belief that he wants to come back. Certainly he's been a part of their plans, though he's been a guy, kind of mentioned in trade conversations, but him and Zach LaVine really both just kind of unable to get a deal done. And with Ingram too, you have that contract concern. Like, nobody is really going to move heaven and earth to bring in Ingram with the potential of him just not re-signing there next year. But, either way, as he's trying to negotiate a payday, got some new rep. Hopefully it works out.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm sure it will be. I think he's going to be very sought after depending on, what he goes for. And, I guess that's the best way to put it is, get your money while you can, and don't blame him on that at all.
Yeah, I mean, 22 points a game this season. So, yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's always tough because all these guys get maxes now. I don't know if BI's a max guy, but he's going to get
He's going to get it regardless, probably, right?
Yeah, I wonder what the market's going to be. Though if he wants to go back in New Orleans, maybe
it could be part of it.
Maybe it's not too much of a free agent tour, if you will, as it is. If he just goes back right away, it does seem like there's a bit of mutual interest. All right, who's fallen for you this week?
NBA fans for forgetting the amazingness that is Elfrid Payton, because we were all excited for a 14.21 assist game, which amazingly was not a triple-double because he only had 7 rebounds. But yeah, 21 assist game from Elfrid Payton on the 25th against the Pacers. Also shot a 63% field goal percentage. Shout out to Elfrid Payton, who also did not shoot 1 3 in that process.
I mean, listen, he's never exactly been known as much of a shooter. Definitely more of a facilitator and a cut guy, if you will. Dude, the Pelicans lineups, like we said, have been just reminding me of peak process. But that's what happens when your 8 best players are all injured at the same time. So, yeah, you got to get weird with it a little bit. But yeah, 21 assists in an NBA game. And again, give Elfrid credit. He hasn't played in 3 years in an NBA game. So coming in and making an impact like that, that's respectable.
Oh yeah, no, I was pumped for him, and I was excited to see it. We kind of debated when we looked at the lineup. We're like, is Elfrid Payton actually the most famous person on this lineup?
It wasn't even close. The only one who was in the ballpark of Elfrid was Devontae Graham, and because Devontae Graham, his first year in the league was really good in Charlotte. So I feel like maybe somebody will remember that. Like, he's been on a few squads. Like, he's definitely a fringe NBA player at this point, but at least he's been around recently. The rest of that roster, it's like, man, I'm not gonna lie, I've never heard of these guys.
Who are you? Yeah, who are you? The literal Patrick Star. Who are you people?
Yeah, bro, they're gonna introduce them in the starting lineup. I feel like they got to give me 5 fun facts or something to can we get some background here? Like, what's up?
Yeah, give me something good going on there. Jeez.
Yeah. Fallen for me this week is the Washington Wizards. So the Washington Wizards at one point were 2-2. and the Washington Wizards are now 2-16, losers of 14 straight. Kind of what we expected here. Like this is Washington. We know how this goes at this point, but yeah, it looks like they will be playing for another number 1 pick this season, which again, this is a good year to get it. Cooper Flag looks really good.
You might as well go get Flag. Yeah, you might as well do it. So
him and Ace Bailey, like I think 2 right off the rip, like looks like a really quality 1-2.
Can't hate on it. Yeah, no, I'm good for them. And maybe the Sixers will be in the mix. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, the way it's going right now, they sure might be, and they got to be top 6 to keep that pick from OKC. So it's like, listen, if you're gonna
suck, you better not decide to be good halfway through the season. You're gonna piss me off.
Yeah, it's like that quiet Warriors season where they stunk a few years ago. Like, hopefully it just ends better for us and not like the Warriors who got James Wiseman, which didn't work out too well.
Yeah, go re-up a little bit here. I get it. So
all right, shall we play some Immaculate Grid?
We shall, and what I am really excited to say is we have an Elfrid Payton connection.
We do. Yes, we do have an Elfrid Payton connection.
So we're just gonna.
Oh, you're just gonna type it in right away already.
Although I totally. Yeah, we're just gonna.
I was gonna say, your boy, you gotta do him. You gotta spell it right.
There we go. 2% for our boy Elfrid Payton, which, by the way, was a Orlando Magic Phoenix Suns connection.
Yeah, so again, you can always watch the Immaculate Grids on YouTube. Subscribe it. Just search Driving Dish NBA Podcast. For the podcast listeners, our columns this week from left to right, the Orlando Magic, the Miami Heat, and only one team. Our rows from top to bottom, the Chicago Bulls, the Phoenix Suns, and the Los Angeles Lakers. Like Justin said, Elfrid Payton is on the books for Suns and Magic. A few different routes to go here. Only one team is weirdly hard if you don't have like an all-time great. So
or just somebody that's on the team that got drafted this year.
Right. So those are the two ways you generally have to go. There's not often that in between of like, hey, they only spent 6 years with one team.
Yeah.
So the Lakers have a few icons. So like they're probably the easiest here because if Lakers, like you got Kobe, you have Elgin Baylor. Jerry West is another one where it's like there's 3 greats without even trying.
You're set.
Only played for one team. I'm pretty sure George Mikan only played for one team. That one I'm a little less certain about. Obviously, Magic Johnson only played for one team.
Mm-hmm.
Did Worthy only play for one team? I feel like he might have been an only Laker too.
That's a good question. I don't know it off the top of my head, but
the rest of the other Laker greats, like you start getting into like, Kareem was on 2 teams, obviously winning the title with Milwaukee. LeBron hasn't been there his whole career. Anthony Davis hasn't been there his whole career. Yeah. So you got options there, or you obviously go with the young guys, like the young guys. Reese's are like for the Lakers, Austin Reeves, for example, works. This year, Dalton Connect works as their first round pick.
Yeah.
So I guess to that token, is there anybody that really stands out there?
I feel like the new guys would be lesser potentially used than Laker greats, right?
Yeah, the only Laker great that I think would maybe work and be low is James Worthy. I do think Worthy would be a little bit lower than some of the other guys because, again, like he was the 3rd person on that team. Like he was always behind Magic and Kareem.
So I'm kind of Worthy then?
Yeah, I'm cool going James Worthy.
2%? Yeah, 2%. Yeah, that's a good move then.
I was a little worried he played for somebody other than Lakers, but
yeah.
No, let's see.
Dwight Howard definitely works for our Lakers Orlando Magic connection, but I bet it's high.
Yeah, I think it's high as well. Dwight Howard is definitely one of the more obvious ones.
Shaq also works actually. Now that
Shaq would also be very high. You're right. Ironically, both Supermen. We mentioned him as a guy who's on a lot. And who I say that I don't use enough, but who fits a lot of teams, and that's Matt Barnes. Matt Barnes definitely works there.
Matt Barnes, yeah. You want to go Matt Barnes? That feels good.
I'd go Matt Barnes there. The other, never mind. Just kidding.
You want to just do Matt Barnes?
Do Matt Barnes. Did Mozgov play for Orlando? Nice. Did Mozgov play for Orlando?
Let me look it up.
He played for the Lakers. And so I figured that would have been low. I'm trying to remember. I don't remember if the Magic had him or not.
Timothy Mozgov, Russian player. Let's see. My Denver Knicks, Cleveland Lakers, Brooklyn. No.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, good thing I didn't go that way then. All right. Yeah. So Miami Lakers. LeBron is the obvious one.
Yep.
Who else is
Did
there?
anybody go with him?
No, LeBron's a free agent.
That's right.
Gary Payton
Gary
works for
Payton
both.
does
Like
work.
OG Gary Payton works for both. He won his championship on the Heat, like real late in 06. He was on the Lakers when he and Karl Malone went over late in their careers. They lost in the finals with Kobe and Shaq. They lost to Detroit. Man, there's definitely more here.
You know who I think did Oh, Luol Deng.
Yeah, Luol Deng does work.
Luol Deng does work.
He works for Heat Bulls as well.
Oh yeah.
Because I mean, yeah,
Heat Bulls might be more of a sneaky.
Yeah, I mean, the Bulls was his most.
Yeah, maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, because the Bulls was his most iconic part of his career. Honestly, I think he's more sneaky on Lakers Heat. I'd be real cool using Luol Deng at Lakers Heat because they paid him. Lakers paid him a ton of money.
How's he?
Like he was one of those late.
Deng DEI
DENG.
DENG. Okay. OLUOL. Okay. Dang, 0.9%. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the Lakers paid him and Mozgov all that money. Like he had such a bad contract, and like Luol Deng was a great player for a little bit, but yeah, he was super washed when they made that signing. So probably not one the Lakers want to remember too fondly.
Vooch, I should say, works for Orlando Heat, but again, I think that's going to be a high one. I vaguely remember Michael Carter Williams being on both teams.
Michael Carter Williams is definitely on both. I don't vaguely remember. I remember it. He was on both for
that's
sure.
That's a pretty good one.
He gave them some quality minutes to Orlando. I'd be down to do that because, yeah, I mean, Vooch is the obvious one. And then the other side of the Vooch trade is Wendell Carter Jr., who's played a lot of minutes now for the Magic. So I think that'll be high as well. I'm cool going MCW, though.
2%? We're like 2 across the board except for 1. This is crazy.
Yeah. Oh, that is. Yeah, wow, that's crazy. That is. Wow, bunch of twos. All right, Miami and Chicago and Miami and the Suns.
Okay.
Miami and the Suns, Amari Stoudemire works. That might be popular. He was on Miami at the very end of his career.
Amari Stoudemire.
Obviously, Phoenix, great. He was super good there. Dragic, Goran Dragic works.
Or you're talking about Heat Suns?
Yeah. TJ Warren works too, right? TJ Warren was on the Heat, wasn't he?
TJ Warren, I think.
I think he was briefly on Miami. I feel maybe Phoenix, Indy. I remember him playing on Brooklyn, and I kind of lost track after that. I feel like he briefly played for Miami, but I'm not as confident on that one.
Anything Heat, I go PJ Tucker.
He works, actually. Yeah, he works for Phoenix. He started in Phoenix, I
think. Yeah, he played in Phoenix. I bet that's a good one.
PJ? Yeah. I don't think I have anybody better. I mean, it would have been Dragic, but Dragic is kind of high. I think PJ will be lower than Dragic is.
You want to go
and
PJ?
Amari's great. Yeah, I'm fine doing PJ Tucker there.
We broke our 2 streak.
That's okay. 4% is nice and low for that. You know, PJ Tucker's been around. It's one of those things where he's such a popular player and fits in so many different grid places that you figured he might. Yeah, PJ Tucker, he was he came back in the league with Phoenix because he started, he played all the way back in 06, 07 when he got drafted. He got drafted by Toronto. But he only played a little bit, and then he was overseas for 4 years, basically. And then came back in the league with Phoenix. Then he went to Toronto, where he was the unfortunate LeBron stopper. He won that trade, and then Rockets, Bucks, Heat, Sixers, now with the Clippers.
So like you said, Jimmy Butler obviously works for Heat Bulls. He's going to be high. Dwayne Wade also works, but I think will also be high.
Likely be high.
Goran Dragic works. I think.
Oh, yeah, Dragic does work there. You're right.
I think, and I only remember him from a Tim connection, and I remember him on the Bulls, and I feel like I remember him on the Heat, but Derek Jones Jr. I think works.
Oh man, he was definitely on the Heat.
Yeah. I don't remember the Bulls fully.
Man.
I think he was on the Bulls. I think he was on the Bulls after.
I thought you were going to say Derek Williams for sure. I really expect you to say Derek Williams.
No, Derek Jones Jr. I'm almost positive he works.
I would go with, I'm cool DJJ.
Derek Jones Jr., you want to try it?
He'll be low for Chicago. I don't associate him with Chicago at all.
How does he?
CK. No, CK, you're good. No, you're good. DRICK.
ICK. Hold on, I'm all over the place. As I can spell. There it is.
There you go. All right, Derek Jones Jr.
Still in the league. 2%, baby. Nice. Let's keep the 2% rolling. Right. Okay.
That's I will never. He was signing autographs when we were at Summer.
Yeah, I remember that.
Tim was pumped because he was on Suns at the time.
Yeah.
Dude could fly. I mean, dude still can fly, but dude could fly. Actually, I saw it at that Sixers-Clippers game. He's on the Clippers now. I saw him the other night. He was playing.
Oh, I didn't realize he's still playing.
All right, Chicago only one team. Oof. Phoenix only one team. Both of these guys, I kind of just got to lean young towards. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like the Phoenix legend, because Steve Nash wasn't, Stoudemire wasn't. The OG Phoenix legend is Connie Hawkins. And I just have no idea whether Connie Hawkins is on one team or not. I just know I associate him with Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, you go young. And so who
has Kobe White played for anybody else?
Oh, you're going up Chicago?
Yeah, because UNC, he got drafted out of UNC, right? And then I think he's just been on Chicago.
Kobe White and Patrick Williams. Chicago, I have more young guys than Phoenix, low key. Kobe White and Patrick Williams have both never played anywhere else.
Okay.
They both played Chicago only. The other Chicago pick, I'm trying to, who is the why am I blanking on the kid they took this year?
I don't even know. I couldn't even tell you. I couldn't even tell you. That's why I was going back a few years, because I'm like, who the hell they even pick?
I mean, I think, it's either Kobe or Patrick Williams will be the guys that where it's like, I don't know which of them will be lower.
Yeah, they did
because Kobe's kind of good
with that smile.
What's that? Oh no, no, who was only there? I think Ayu Desomnu. We haven't mentioned him. He's only on Chicago.
I wouldn't even know how to spell it.
Ayo.
Ayo. You want to go with it?
Yeah. He's definitely only on Chicago. I think he's a little
11% is wild.
That's the thing, though. It's like it's him, Kobe White, and Patrick Williams. Those are the only three guys, like right off the rip, where I'm like, yeah, man, they are definitely only Chicago.
Because I'm full on drawing a blank for Suns.
I'm like, I'm trying to think of who's on the roster now, and I mean, none of their three guys. Oh, wait a minute, we're idiots. Devin Booker.
Oh,
yeah. Wait a minute, just kidding. Okay. One of their superstars has only played in Phoenix.
All right. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's a good backup to have. I think that will be high. So bear with me as I think about who else is on Phoenix, because Bradley Beal obviously is not one. Royce O'Neal is not. Tyus Jones is not. Oh God, who else they have? Like Grayson Allen is not.
No.
KD is obviously not.
Bender's not still on the team, right?
No,
that was like a while ago.
I think they want to forget that.
Yeah.
Nurkic is not like.
Yeah.
Oh God, we got to go deep into their 15th man. And I just don't think I know that like that. Then they haven't any picks recently. They traded them all. Josh Okogie's there, right? But he was in Minnesota.
Yeah, dude. I think we just gotta go Booker.
It's so chalky. I hate it, but you're right.
We have to.
Book's gonna be like 97%. Everyone is gonna be like, who else plays for this team?
Yeah.
Right
now? All right. Well, let's just lock it in and see what happens.
Yeah, we'll be good.
All right. Well, we definitely got it. What was the percentage?
Let's scroll down.
84%.
Yeah, I mean, let me pull up the Phoenix. I'm gonna pull up the Phoenix Suns roster right now. Let me let's see who's been, because it has to be a rookie or like a 10-year guy, a 10-year guy.
Good call on the Bulls. Only one team. Kobe White was actually the highest one at 53%.
Yeah, 53%. Wow. Yeah, our top answers. So for Magic and Bulls, we didn't even mention it. Horace Grant. You gotta love the rec specs. Big 90s legend.
We did not mention that.
Dude, how about Dwayne Wade being higher for Miami, Chicago than Jimmy? Maybe that surprises me because Jimmy was here now. But
yeah, people probably were trying to get smart with it.
Yeah. Kobe White, most popular for Chicago, only one team. Devin Booker, Suns, only one team. Kobe for Lakers and only one team. Not really any surprises there.
Yeah.
Shaq, the most popular for Phoenix, Magic, and Heat, Suns. So yeah, not huge surprise there. I don't think we mentioned Shaq at all, honestly, other than Orlando in the corner. We did mention Dwight Howard, most popular for Lakers and Magic. LeBron James, most popular for Lakers and Heat. I am pulling up the Suns roster as we speak. Oso Ighodaro is a rookie this year out of Marquette. He would work for Phoenix and one team only. Jalen Bridges would work. He's also a rookie this year. He would be one team only.
Have they actually played for him though?
Yeah, I think they played.
Have they actually played a game? Yeah, okay.
I'm trying. Damian Lee's on this roster, but he's not one team only. Bowl's not one team only. Monte Morris isn't one team only.
Bowl. Oh wow.
I'm looking at Colin Gillespie, Jalen Bridges, and Ty Washington, and Oso would be the other guys that you have right now. Oso has played in 40. Yeah, he's played in 14 games for the Suns. Like he's given them minutes. So like he would be one.
They have 46.
Ty Washington actually doesn't work. He's played for other squads. He played for Houston. He played for Milwaukee.
They've got 52 options for only one team apparently.
I mean, I believe, like, dude, there are a lot of 1-year guys we forget about.
That's
like, I think there
fair.
are a lot of answers. Like, we could find some 0.1 percenters that I'm sure that have only maybe played 2 games for that roster. Colin Gillespie would not work as well. So yeah, you've got, Oso and Jalen Bridges would be the only 2 that work. And Jalen Bridges has played in 2 games for Phoenix this year. So he's probably the low man, if you will, on this current roster, I should say, out of everybody.
Yeah, there's a lot of random ass, like 1 game.
Yeah, guys you've never heard of. Yeah, anyway. Do we want to recap our grid one last time?
Wow. Dude played for a long time too, actually. Our grid, yeah.
Our grid, Chicago, Orlando, we got Michael Carter Williams. Chicago, Miami, Derek Jones Jr. Chicago, only one team, Ayu Dosunmu. Elfrid Payton for Suns and Magic. PJ Tucker for Suns and Heat. Devin Booker for Suns and only one team. Matt Barnes for Magic and Lakers. Luol Deng for Lakers and Heat. And James Worthy for Lakers and only one team. Thank you, everybody, for listening to this episode of Driving Dish NBA Podcast. Appreciate you guys. As always, leave us a review on iTunes, good or bad. We'll read them on the podcast. If you're not an Apple user, Google Play Store, Spreaker, Spotify, TuneIn, Amazon Music, Player FM, TuneIn. I think I said tune in already. Whatever. Anywhere you find a podcast, you can find us.
And we are on YouTube. Got video versions of the podcast if you want to watch it there. Subscribe. It's just like the podcast. You get notifications when new episodes are coming out.